blowing in your face, and the whole world is on your case. I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there is no one there to dry your tears, well, I will hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind yet, but I will never do you wrong.
Good morning and welcome to the center. This is a wonderful place that comes from the heart and from the truth and brings love and joy and laughter. It would be wonderful to come and experience this. They're truly, people here are truly family and friends. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning. Good morning. We have a short video for centering this morning. Enjoy.
On a hot day in August 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that would define the civil rights movement and his legacy. This, of course, was his I Have a Dream speech, delivered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom.
I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
The March on Washington served as a massive push for economic and political justice for African Americans. Held during the year celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, crowds marched on the National Mall to watch a variety of musical performances and speeches. Dr. King, a Baptist preacher and prominent civil rights leader, was scheduled to speak towards the end of the day, his debut on the national stage. Up until that point, King mostly addressed small crowds at black churches, rallies, or fundraisers. This time, he would be seen by nearly 250,000 people on the ground, as well as millions at home watching on television. This was an opportunity to reach a wide audience and persuade the public and the government to take action against racial injustice. The night before, King worked with a close group of advisors to get the speech just right. They worked through the night, settling on a final draft in the pre-dawn hours of August 28. Interestingly, the phrase, "I have a dream," a phrase he used in earlier speeches, was nowhere to be found in this copy. The words wouldn't manifest until almost halfway into Dr. King's speech, when gospel singer Mahalia Jackson, who had performed earlier in the day, called out to him from the sidelines to tell him about the dream. King set his prepared remarks aside and improvised the rest, crafting a soaring speech that would sear into the minds of millions of Americans.
No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
The speech was divided into two parts. The first listed the injustices that African Americans faced: segregation, police brutality, disenfranchisement, and discrimination, and urged a call to nonviolent action. The second launched into King's dream of peace and racial harmony, a vision of a future in which people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I have a dream.
Highlighting King's skills as a preacher, I Have a Dream was part sermon and part poetry, using rhetorical devices like repetition, rhyme, and vivid metaphor to drive his points home. It was peppered with historic, biblical, and literary references that moved the crowd. This message of struggle and hope became the defining moment not only of King's career, but also the civil rights movement. Both the speech and the March on Washington were credited with helping secure the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark piece of legislation that ended segregation and banned discrimination on the basis of race or sex in the workplace.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
The speech also resonated with activists around the globe. I have a dream. The phrase that wasn't even meant to be in his final draft appeared in political actions all around the world. It's considered one of the world's most transformative and influential speeches, alongside others like Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and Winston Churchill's Blood, Toil, Tears, and Sweat. I Have a Dream is only one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s many achievements, but it's nonetheless one of the most pivotal.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
So let's just take a moment and just close our eyes and take a deep breath. And say thank you for Dr. Martin Luther King, for all his efforts, for the good that he has done. And to know that there's still work to do. There may not be marches or protests. Perhaps it's just a prayer. Happy birthday, Dr. King. And so it is. Morning. Ah, yes.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. sounds so good, so full. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Yes. I hold you in my heart. Yes. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are my family. You are the face of God.
Good morning. And so if it's comfortable for you, relax in your chair, close your eyes, and go to that wonderful spot within where you are totally aware that you are connected with this one presence, this one mind that I call God. This God is so wonderful. First cause, does the work, comes out with the form. Abstract or concrete, amazing manifestations come from this work that is God. God is everywhere, works through each of us, is in all things from the tiniest particle to the eternal multiverse. And I know that I am part of this great consciousness. I realize that I have all the attributes of God. And I realize that each and every other person here, all living beings, they are all part of this one mind, this one great consciousness that I call God. And I know that with God, everything is possible. I know that as I address this consciousness, it responds. I know that as I love this great consciousness, it loves me back. I know that when I identify with the spirit of who I am, it grows stronger and bigger, and any discord can be wrapped up in a cocoon and sent out for transmuting. I am a spirit of God. You are a spirit of God. Each of us is. And so since with God everything is possible, I declare higher consciousness right here and right now through the love that we feel. And I declare all of this love and wonder is added to the consciousness of God worldwide. The mass consciousness is helped when each of us feels this connection and feels the love flowing through us. And so I declare wonderful things, wonderful new ideas, wonderful feelings of health and wealth. I absolutely love what can go on in this great consciousness around the world. And I'm so thankful to know. I'm thankful to know how God works in the law, the manifestations. And one of those manifestations right here and right now is this sanctuary and all the people who work to make this wonderful. I'm so glad for each one of us here. Everybody who does the work, the music, the talk. Just the feeling that we are sharing rises up into the mass consciousness. I'm grateful to know that when I give my word, it is powerful. The law works on it immediately. It addresses every thought and yearning I have, whether it's said out loud or whether it's felt in my heart. So I'm grateful for all of it. And I release this prayer. I release it to the law, knowing that it comes back fulfilled. And with gratitude and love and happiness together we say, and so it is.
I would say that Mary Jo was full of fire this morning.
Okay, and so it is. And so it is. You make me want to take off my coat. No, it's just my flash. But you are.
I don't want to evoke that.
No, you don't. It's just our cue, and I'm like, oh, I was so into it. Dave's like, no.
Patty Powers. Oh, I should have let that keep going. I apologize.
It was good.
And Dave, fingers, Dave. While you're standing, if it's comfortable for you, if you would please say with me, God bless America and the rest of the world, and turn to a neighbor and just say good morning.
See the light in everybody. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light. Let's be reminded of who we must be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, hey.
question, first thing, question. How many of you think that this teaching is about what Ernest Holmes talks about, change your thinking, change your life? Okay. Well, that's not the full truth. Another question. How many of you think that what we teach is the law of attraction, like the movie The Secret? Wrong again. Of course, we do teach those things. However, there's more to it than that. Way more to it than that. And that's just those quotes and those things are just a snippet. And on Sunday, all we can give you is a snippet of what this teaching is all about. I started taking classes in 2006 with the founder of this church, Reverend Cynthia Clare, after begging her to, of course, I want to start at the top instead of the bottom. Instead of first year, I want to start at the second year because you get to know me. That would be Cheryl's way. And then the law of attraction. Well, of course we do teach that. I mean, really, how many good parking spaces do you really need, right? You know, you tell my grandmother, who I called grandmother, she would tell everyone that every time Cheryl takes me somewhere, we get the best parking spaces. She would say it all the time. What an affirmation, huh? And I promise you, every time, and she had a handicap placard, but we didn't ever need it, because she was affirming all the time that Cheryl gets the best parking spaces, whether she knew it or not. So no one else would, they'd have to hear it, and they say, well, why don't you have Cheryl take you? But obviously I couldn't take her everywhere. I have a quote on the first, I think Russell may have it, if I did it correctly, this week. Science of mind is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Neither does it promise something for nothing. It does, however, promise the one who will comply with this teaching that he or she shall be able to bring greater possibilities and happier conditions into their experience. So that's a promise. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. That's why we have classes. That's why we have foundations. Stacy and I are teaching it for free. We have someone who has stepped up and they're buying all the books. They're paying for the registration. I mean, really? It can't get any more free than that. So, it's all those things are true. However, it requires a little bit of work, a little bit of embodiment. Because Reverend Stacy teaches and always says, what is the most important thing is the feeling in everything. It is the feeling. Reverend Wanda told us last week that we have 60,000 thoughts a day. Well, those thoughts don't come all into your life experience, do they? A lot of thank God is right. Thank something, thank goodness. Thank goodness, because if they did, what a mess. I mean, really, think about it. What a mess. You have, depends on the feeling you get from those things. Our Science of Mind textbook, written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says, no one can demonstrate peace and cling to unhappiness. Not one of us. Well, if you can, please tell me about it later, because I don't want to know right now. Not one of us can jump in water and not get wet. Right? Or remain dry, whichever one you want to. This certainly is contrary to the law and to reason, right? I mean, who's going to get into water and expect to be dry? Because even if you have a wetsuit on, it's wet, right? If you spend a great deal of your time contemplating limitation, what do you think you get from that? There's no freedom in that, right? No freedom whatsoever. The law, again, the teaching says the law is a law of liberty, not of license. It is exacting. We have to work with it. Another thing Dr. Holmes does, there's a force for good, or I can say a law for good in the universe, and we can use it. It doesn't matter how you use it, because it's going to do what it has to do. It's going to do what it does, excuse me, no matter what you put into it. Well, that's the second week of class, which I haven't got to yet. And I say that because I've not ever taught foundations, and it's a good, well, I told you about how I always want to start at the top, right? So I have not taught as a minister foundations. And it's interesting just to, in the class, to see, God, just, you know, I was never really interested in the ahas, I'm sorry, or the, when someone gets it, necessarily. It didn't make me feel, when I got it, it made me feel a certain way. However, this past week, you know, Reverend Stacy, I helped her with her class. As the teens are at winter camp and Kathy, her assistant, is gone, she had everyone write affirmations. And then she had them stand up and stand in it, in that affirmation. And then she'd ask them, do you believe it? And you could see who didn't. And you can feel who did. But you can also see and feel that they were willing to do the work to get there.
There's homework.
There is homework. I call it you work, because homework seems to scare people sometimes. Sometimes. You know, I believe, and we teach that the universe is not against you at all. I remember being laid off, it was some time ago, and everyone's waiting for me to do something. Not shoot up the place, I'm scared of guns, but just to leave or walk out, but I finished my work. The person who will be considered my boss called me to her office and said, what are you doing? Why are you still here? We just laid you off. I'm like, yeah, but I have work to do. Or you paid me for today, right? And she says, well, I feel like, how do you do that? I said, because I know that the universe is not against me. There's nothing you could do to make me feel otherwise. Will I be staying past the market closing? No. I'm out of here. My boxes are right there. I'm gone. However, you know, I just feel like I don't know what's next, but I know that no matter what it looks like, it's going to be something good. And that just really threw her for a loop. She could not believe that anyone would even say or think that. And I wanted to talk to her further, but I wanted to get out of there. Oh gosh. I love that Stacey and I are exploring those, the laws and the ideas of this teaching in our class. And that there are people that are willing to learn these things. We have a pretty good sized class. You have, 8 and 10 people? I have 8 people. And we're having such a good time, and I feel like it's such a privilege to be on this journey with them. And I've told them that. You know, it said that we were created so that God, Spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, I choose to call it God, and there was a time when I wouldn't say the word. just so you know. So that God could know itself. The universe exists as an expression of us. You know, Stacy and I have a little saying since we've been in ministerial with our other cohorts that God is a crack up. Because things show up all the time. We're working on a talk. If you're practicing paying attention and noticing what you notice, and you will notice some things that, and you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. This morning I had I've been doing something, I don't know, I read an email that said, read the first chapter in The Richest Man in Babylon. I had not seen this book for years. Years. So I go and I read the first chapter. And the first chapter is The Man Who Desired Gold. And then I get to this quote that says, Thou speakest with true inspiration. Thou bringest to my mind a new understanding. Thou makest me to realize the reason why we have never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. We never thought about it. We never thought about it. And I had another one that I found. Our acts can be no wiser than our thoughts. See there? First quote that came up, I couldn't find it. I thought I read, I read kind of skipping things, especially in the morning time. But I thought that was interesting. So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You can demonstrate at your level and your ability to know the truth. And that's all we're attempting to do is teach truth, and for you to trust that truth and know that you know that you know. Because when you get that feeling and when you know that, I promise you there's no greater feeling. There is the freedom in knowing that. You can breathe. Isn't that fun? So I wanted to tell you that this is not a one and done. Come to one class. You may get something out of it, and a lot of people do. They come, they get what they came for. It could be boyfriend, a husband, their first class, they get, the house, they get whatever it is. And then they think they're done. And we kind of see them again. If not at Trader Joe's, we see them again. We just believe that our classes are a way to have a greater understanding. And we're just asking you to please join us. So that you can get a clearer understanding and concept of how the universe works. Because the students my students haven't done their affirmations yet, because that's class 2, because we just started. But I promise you, those that, hey guys, something happened. I'll get the mic. To the music store this week or something. You could tell, like I said, some were not sure. And I could feel the ones that were positive. And so when I'm knowing that at the end of that 10 weeks, they're going to be so sure, and they're going to have everything it is they think they want. Because what happens too is you find out that's not really what you wanted. There's another quote, I think, Russell. It's our part, your part, the student's part, my part, is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth and liberty. All doubt and fear must go, and in their place must come faith and confidence, for we shall be led by the Spirit into all good. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, there is good and I ought to have it. there's good and you ought to have it. You deserve it. Patty said her mom had never, she'd been to, it was a blessing or a christening or something, and baptism. And that's an odd word to me, from religious science, baptism. But that's okay. That her mom had never heard anyone being told that they are perfect already. There's absolutely nothing you need to do. There is nothing you need to do. The gift has already been given. You have to learn how to accept the gift. You came ready. Isn't that great? Isn't that good to know that you came here with everything you need to succeed in whatever it is? Because it doesn't matter what it is or what it isn't. I believe that we are here as ministers and as a teaching to help folks build that muscle, the muscle of trust. Now, Stacy got the trust thing right away. It took me a little while. I didn't get it. I'm like, trust? Why do you say that's the most important thing? Trust. It don't make no sense to me. But I got it. I got it. Not that I'm slow. I just think a little differently. No. She says a little slower. I don't think that's right, but no, you're not. She says she's just kidding. Now, the title today was The Principles of Successful Living, and that's actually a chapter in the Science of Mind textbook, chapter 16. And I wanted to read something to you. Oh no. When intelligence makes a demand upon itself, it answers its own demand out of its own nature and cannot help doing so. In philosophy, this idea is called emergent evolution. Whenever the universe makes a demand upon itself, out of that very demand is created its fulfillment. But that can only be when the demand is in the nature of the universe. Now we say the law does what it does, doesn't care who it is, doesn't care what it is you want. Now, I would say as long as it doesn't harm someone else. And why would I say that? Because you know that thing about what goes around comes around? Because it's gonna come, that's another law. It's gonna come back to you. So as long as you are wishing well and good for not just yourself, but everyone, I remember telling a lady, she was all upset that her sister had won this money, paying some game, upset, and why couldn't it be her? And I said, well, why can't you be happy for her? Why can't you say, oh, I'm so happy for you? Because until you can do that, the universe isn't going to bring you anything. Not one thing. I don't think I said it to her like that. But I was thinking it, And, let me finish reading this. Therefore, the person who believes that God is specializing for them specializing for them is right. I don't want to say him, I'm trying to make it a gender neutral God. God is specializing for you through the law. Such a person will realize that when that person says, there is a divine intelligence that knows the right answer. You don't have to know the right answer. Oh my goodness. All those tests that we've taken. But in life, the biggest test of all, you don't have to know the right answer. Someone was talking about, I don't know where I was, about how they grew up and the marginalization, the prejudice that was normal in the time they were being brought up. Normal to, clutch your purse if a big black guy walked by. Normal if, if an Asian person, I don't even know what they would have done. But if it was World War II, that might have been an issue. But just the things when it's normal, and to know that I asked that person, but didn't you feel like there was something like in your stomach? Didn't you feel like something was wrong with that? Did you feel that? Because I guarantee you feel it. You feel it and you know when it's right or when it's wrong. I know I do. My family is no exception. You're playing that music. I'm like, so? Well, that's a white person. And it happened to be Elton John, and I said, no, it's not. He's not white, he's homosexual. This was an older person who is gone, and they just think I'm crazy anyway, because they have no idea how I got into this family. None whatsoever. My mother, who some of you remember, would look at me and say it all the time, I do not know how you got in this family. I have no idea. You are so different. But she would always say it in a nice way, though. She is, I can't talk about that, sorry.
She's loved.
She is, absolutely, absolutely. And everyone else's mother, too. I don't care. I don't care if you think you cannot stand your mother. I promise you, when she leaves this plane, you will freaking miss her. That was a sidebar, I'm sorry. Trust is very important in so many ways. Trust. I trust that each one of you came here. I'm like, these people came to hear what I have to say. Isn't that awesome? I feel good about that. Thank you very much. I have an affirmation for you. I think. Do I, Russell? Do I have an affirmation? If I don't, I have it in my hand. Oh, okay. If you would please say with me, since it's on the screen, well, maybe repeat after me, because some people, like me, may not be able to see that far. Well, like Reverend Stacy, sorry, not me. I am in a unique expression of spirit. Stepping into life in ever more amazing and wonderful ways. I am supported every day and in every way. And so it is. And I want you to know that you are supported by me, Reverend Stacy, and just as we are supported by our practitioner corps, we're supported by you. And we do not take that for granted. I promise you. Right, Clem?
That's right.
All right, thank you so much.
Could I just quickly announce that I'm going to be singing Saturday? Thank you. I just thought that I would throw it out there if you are not busy. This Saturday coming up, it's the 25th, I'll be singing at a place called Bobby Mayo's at the mall at Henderson. So please come see me. I'll be singing from 6 to 9, me and myself and I. My David has another gig, so he's gigging. So it's going to be me and these musical arrangements that I have. So I hope that you can come.
He's gigging and you're gigging.
Yeah, we're gigging different. That's weird. right. At least we're keeping it together. It's all right.
It's
At
okay.
least we're kicking.
Yeah. We'll be there. All right. I would like to ask our ministers to please come forward. And any visiting ministers or visiting practitioners, if it's comfortable for you, please come forward. And our ministry of prayer team. I would like for you to see the folks that hold this place up. They're here for you today. If you want to talk, pray, or hug. We also have a prayer box in the front here. It says God's Pocket. In the back, in the grand hall, it says, it doesn't say anything. It says prayer box. Also, if you're here for the first time, please sign our guest book at the little desk in the grand hall, and we'll keep you apprised of the things that are happening here and not happening here, if you don't mind. All right. All right. I think we should stand and connect. It's all good. It's all good. Bye-bye. Let's just take a deep breath and just know that today was filled with love and wonder, and that we all know the right thing to do. We all know that we have that power within us that just simply says yes, that we all came and arrived here perfect and complete, and that there's absolutely nothing that we need to do to be loved, because we are loved and loved. I'm knowing that everyone gets to their next destination safe and sound, and they have the best Sunday ever, they have the best week ever, and they return here next Sunday with bells on, ready to learn another lesson. I'm so grateful for each and every person that has come here today to share their love with the center and with each other. I simply release and let go, and I let it be, as I say, and so it is. And so it is. And let's sing our peace song.
Yes, there is peace on earth.